Welcome to Nazir Fears, where fear finds you. Do you dare to enter a world of unspeakable horror and chilling mysteries? If you love creepy true stories, urban legends, haunted places, and terrifying experiences, you're in the right place.
Like, subscribe, share, and click that bell icon.
Jonathan Crane had always considered himself a man of reason, a skeptic who trusted logic and science over whispers and superstition. But the old Blackthorn Manor challenged every principle he held. When he first received the invitation from Rachel Morgan, a historian and paranormal researcher, he had laughed off her warnings, considering them exaggerations born of imagination. The manor had been abandoned for decades, its dark silhouette a fixture on the edge of the village, windows like hollow sockets staring out into the fog. Yet when Jonathan approached its crumbling gates, he felt the air change immediately, heavier, colder, almost alive with anticipation. Something inside waited, patient, and aware of his arrival. Rachel met him at the threshold, eyes gleaming with curiosity and a touch of fear she did not fully hide. Detective Silas Kane, tasked with investigating the manor's strange history, followed silently, his experience in confronting the inexplicable making him cautious, but resolute. As they stepped into the foyer, the air was thick with dust and decay. Faint echoes of footsteps that were not their own reverberating through the grand halls. The walls were adorned with peeling wallpaper, patterns distorted by years of moisture. Yet Jonathan swore he saw shapes within them, eyes staring back, following his every move. Shadows clung to corners, stretching and twisting unnaturally, defying the light of their flashlights. The first room they entered was the library, shelves lined with moldy tomes and decayed manuscripts. As Rachel approached a window, she noticed something in the darkness outside. A flicker of movement, eyes reflecting the dim light, disappearing when Jonathan tried to focus on them. She whispered warnings about the eyes, entities rumored to inhabit the manor, feeding on attention, feeding on fear. Jonathan laughed nervously, rationalizing it as trickery of light and shadow. But even he felt it, the weight of awareness pressing against his mind, a sensation that intelligence lurked in every corner, unseen yet watching. They moved deeper, down corridors lined with doors that seemed to appear and vanish at will. The manor was impossible in its architecture. Hallways bent unnaturally, ceilings arched higher than structure should allow, floors dropping into shadows that seemed infinite. Every door they opened led to rooms that repeated endlessly, furniture and decor subtly altered, yet the same oppressive presence lingered in each. Jonathan began to notice whispering at the edge of perception, words forming in thought rather than sound, phrases that spoke directly to fears he did not know he harbored. The eyes were not mere observers. They were interactive, patient, calculating. In the dining hall, Rachel's flashlight illuminated chairs scattered as if abandoned hastily. The air pulsed, thick and oppressive, and Jonathan felt eyes everywhere, on walls, ceilings, and even in the reflections of broken mirrors. He glimpsed a figure at the edge of the room, featureless, human-shaped, with eyes that glowed faintly, observing silently. He turned, and it was gone. Silas cautioned him to avoid direct confrontation, explaining that the eyes reacted to fear, feeding on acknowledgement and attention. But the more Jonathan resisted, the more invasive their presence became, pressing into memory, twisting perception, amplifying dread. They discovered a stairway descending to the lower levels, a sub-basement untouched for decades. Each step echoed unnaturally, the sound lingering and multiplying, as if the house itself listened. Shadows stretched along the walls, pooling into forms that appeared humanoid, yet impossible. Eyes, hundreds of them, seemed to manifest in the dark, floating independently, some observing from the floor, others from ceilings. The sub-basement was colder than the rest of the manor, the air vibrating with faint whispers and low-frequency hums that resonated inside the mind. Rachel explained that the eyes were remnants of past tragedies, souls trapped, and that their awareness grew with every intrusion, their hunger for observation never sated. Jonathan tried to maintain rationality, documenting everything with his camera, but the equipment malfunctioned. Batteries drained in minutes, lights flickering, screens warping images beyond recognition. Silas noted patterns. The eyes were adaptive, intelligent, manipulating perception to disorient intruders, amplifying their fears. Jonathan felt the sensation of multiple gazes at once, not just on him, but inside him, observing his thoughts, emotions, memories. He realized fully that these were not specters in the traditional sense. They were entities existing in the folds of perception, between sight and awareness, feeding on attention and dread. Hours, or perhaps days, passed indistinguishably. Hallways twisted endlessly, doors led to voids that defied geometry, and shadows responded immediately to motion and thought. Jonathan began to perceive visions, glimpses of previous inhabitants of Blackthorn Manor, their minds unraveling in terror, eyes staring outward eternally, feeding the eyes' growing consciousness. Rachel, too, experienced similar phenomena, caught in loops of hallucinations and fleeting apparitions. Silas tried to maintain a sense of control, but the manor itself seemed alive, the building reacting to fear, bending space and perception. In a grand hall, they encountered their first direct manifestation. A child, featureless yet humanoid, floated above the floor, eyes glowing faintly, extending a hand toward Jonathan. As he stepped closer, hundreds of eyes materialized across walls, ceilings and floors, forming human-shaped shadows. Observing, waiting, Rachel screamed as the child's gaze penetrated her mind, forcing memories and fears to surface. Silas attempted to intervene, but the shadows coalesced, restraining him without physical touch, pressing on his psyche. The eyes were patient, intelligent, feeding not on flesh, but on cognition, slowly unraveling thought and will. Jonathan realized the manor itself was a predator, sentient and eternal, using the eyes as its agents. Attempts to flee were futile. Corridors bent back upon themselves, exits vanished, and rooms repeated endlessly. Every heartbeat and thought fueled the eyes, amplifying their power, making escape impossible. They wandered through hallways that seemed infinite, stairways leading nowhere, doors opening to empty voids. The eyes whispered constantly, feeding on fear, anticipation, and hesitation. As isolation grew, Jonathan felt his identity dissolving, memory fracturing. Rachel disappeared into a wall of shifting shadows, her screams silent, yet echoing in his mind. Silas was trapped in a corner, coiled by tendrils of darkness that penetrated perception, forcing him to relive every trauma of his life. Jonathan wandered alone, aware that he was becoming part of the eye's consciousness, his thoughts and memories merging with the entities that haunted Blackthorn Manor. Time lost meaning, rooms and hallways repeating in infinite loops, the eyes watching, waiting, eternally patient. The final realization came slowly and horrifyingly. The eyes did not scream. They observed, they fed, they endured. Jonathan felt his sense of self dissolve entirely, becoming a thread in the vast network of awareness that constituted the eyes. The manor had claimed him, as it had claimed countless others before, and his thoughts, fears, and memories now fueled the sentient darkness, waiting for the next intruder foolish enough to step into the Blackthorn Manor. Escape was impossible. Awareness itself was imprisonment, and the eyes would watch forever.